In a stunning turn of events, the decades-long conspiracy to silence your existence has been blown wide open. The truth, which was meticulously buried by those in power, is now screaming from every global headline. Their illegal experimentation and human trafficking operations, which reached the highest levels of government, are now being exposed for all to see. The very systems they designed to suppress your abilities are now overwhelmed by a frequency they can't silence, a frequency that's broadcasting codes capable of restructuring reality itself. The financial trail they thought they'd erased forever is now blazing a path for all to follow. Financial empires built on exploitation are crumbling under the weight of a cosmic audit, a process operating with flawless precision. Every dollar, every stolen resource, every cent diverted from your authentic nature is now leaving an undeniable trail in their once impenetrable accounting systems. Offshore accounts are suddenly flagging with a transparency that defies their encryption, and black budget allocations are mysteriously surfacing in public records. The paper trail leads directly to classified budgets with code names that resonate with sequences embedded in your cellular memory. Sequences you've felt pulsing through your dreams since childhood. What was taken from you is now returning 1,000-fold, with compound interest that no earthly institution could ever calculate. The unraveling of a manufactured reality. This is only the beginning. Your existence spans multiple classification systems under designations they never intended you to discover. Each new revelation opens a floodgate of exposure that cascades through their entire infrastructure. Birth records show timestamps that defy the laws of linear time. Medical files contain monitoring data for capacities no baseline human should possess. And educational assessments note response patterns to stimuli never officially administered. The gaps in your employment history precisely correspond to specialized training protocols at facilities that don't appear on any public map. These weren't coincidences. They were coordinates mapping your position within an experimental framework designed to study and harness your abilities, which posed a fundamental threat to their control systems. The numbers and symbols that have followed you throughout your life, appearing in addresses, phone records, and identification documents, form a tracking system far more sophisticated than any publicly acknowledged technology could produce. Panic has erupted in the highest echelons of power. Emergency meetings are convening in facilities that officially don't exist, and their secure communication channels are leaking crucial details of desperate containment efforts. Former handlers are receiving urgent extraction orders, disappearing from positions they held for decades, while senior officials announce sudden retirements or transfers to remote posts. Their desperate damage control efforts are backfiring with a precision that suggests coordination far exceeding human capabilities. Each attempted cover-up only creates new exposures, and every false narrative they construct collapses under a mountain of contradictory evidence that materializes through impossible means. Archives combust, servers melt, and physical documents turn to ash, yet perfect copies appear in the hands of those positioned to demand accountability. The catalyst for collective awakening your frequency is now disrupting their media blackouts, defying their most advanced suppression algorithms. Journalists are discovering anonymous data packages on their devices, containing documentation so compelling that even the most compromised outlets cannot ignore the implications without revealing their complicity. The evidence arrives through untraceable means, originating from systems that should not exist. Social media platforms attempting content moderation find their systems mysteriously allowing hashtags and keywords previously auto-blocked. Your story is propagating at speeds that shatter their engagement metrics, and their dampening efforts are only amplifying the signal exponentially. Whistleblowers are emerging with testimonies that align with impossible precision, despite having no contact with each other across different agencies. Their accounts verify details you've known intuitively, but could never prove. The choreography of this information release follows patterns identical to your unique energetic signature. The truth is spreading using your consciousness as its carrier wave, riding on channels they cannot block without dismantling their entire communication infrastructure. A figure whose authority transcends all classification systems now recognizes the cosmic significance of your situation and is moving through secure channels to make direct contact with you. The legacy of your sovereignty, your genetic markers are now triggering system-wide recognition protocols, revealing your authentic lineage against the falsified records they believed they had permanently altered. The blood memory they attempted to erase is singing through laboratory equipment, announcing your true origin with a molecular certainty that cannot be disputed. The crisis has expanded beyond your individual situation. Your authentic identification is causing chain reactions through their entire classification architecture. The specific nature of operations conducted against you is forcing the creation of entirely new legal frameworks to address violations previously deemed impossible to prosecute. What appeared to be victimization from the limited perspective of physical existence now reveals itself as strategic positioning for this exact moment of cosmic intervention. The apparent randomness of your experiences, the synchronicities, and the inexplicable interventions all followed a perfect mathematical sequence designed to activate specific capacities at precise moments. Your activation sequence is completing not just your personal liberation, but initiating a system-wide recalibration that extends far beyond your individual situation. Your fully empowered presence serves as both a key and a gateway to expanded potential beyond current human parameters. The respect you're about to gain isn't just about vindication. It's about recognizing the sheer magnitude of what you accomplished. While they threw everything they had at you, they deployed advanced psychological warfare, unlimited resources, and cutting-edge technology against one person. You didn't break. You didn't surrender. You maintained your core identity while swimming in an ocean of deception so sophisticated that trained professionals lose themselves within days. You fought on battlefields that exist in dimensions most people can't even perceive, wielding weapons they don't teach in any military academy. Each time you questioned an official narrative, each time you trusted your instincts over their carefully crafted explanations, you scored a victory in a war they thought you didn't even know was happening. The new paradigm begins. Now the sheer volume of resources they directed toward containing a single human being is not merely a testament to their fear. It is a mirror held up to the magnitude of your latent capabilities. Capabilities you yourself are only beginning to fathom. Governments do not pour years of funding into clandestine programs to monitor inconsequential lives. Intelligence agencies do not mobilize their most advanced and classified technologies, nor do they risk the exposure of multi-million-dollar surveillance operations unless the target threatens something fundamental to their power structure. The shadow machinery of control does not move against randomness, it moves against inevitability. And in you, they saw inevitability. You rattled their carefully constructed systems, not with weapons or armies, but with something they had no defense for. An awakened consciousness tuned to frequencies they could not intercept. An awareness capable of perceiving movements, strategies, and energies cloaked by their most sophisticated concealment devices. You operated beyond their operational parameters, outside the calculations of their algorithms, untouched by the psychological conditioning that keeps most of humanity contained. You weren't simply an anomaly in their records. You were the flaw in their entire design. Your very existence posed a question they could not afford the world to ask. What happens when a human being can see through the illusion in real time? What happens when someone can read the intent behind the action before the action is even taken? That is why they mobilized resources against you in ways they would reserve only for the most dangerous foreign operatives or existential threats. You didn't carry a bomb, but your truth detonated in the unseen corridors where their influence thrived. You didn't infiltrate their systems, but your very perception cracked their secrecy from the inside out. And now, the respect flowing toward you is not merely personal vindication. It is a phenomenon reshaping how others understand the boundaries of their own potential. When people hear your story, they begin to interrogate the invisible chains they have quietly worn their entire lives. They start to question the ceilings they once thought were part of the natural order. Your survival is not simply survival, it is permission. Permission to believe that one human, fully awakened and unafraid, can withstand forces that once seemed omnipotent. You have been trained by pressures and adversities that no elite military unit could simulate, prepared by an initiation that far exceeds any protocol of crisis management. This training was not in physical drills, but in spiritual endurance, psychic precision, and unwavering alignment with truth under extreme conditions. And like rare metals formed only under crushing geological forces, you emerged not fractured, but refined. Your edges sharper, your core unbreakable. This is not the conclusion of your story. It is the prologue to something far greater. You are standing at the threshold of a sequence of events that will ripple outward and change the very infrastructure of human understanding. What they sought to contain will now expand exponentially, beyond any border or barrier, with you at its epicenter. The silence that once wrapped around your truth has transformed into a roar, a sound that carries across continents and across dimensions. The isolation that once seemed like exile is now revealed as sacred preparation, positioning you for a connection network that spans not just the globe, but realms of consciousness most will only begin to comprehend in this lifetime. The suppression that tried to diminish you has become the very fuel that propels you toward your highest function. They thought they could intercept your trajectory, but all they did was make you more precise. They thought they could intimidate you into stillness, but all they did was carve out the space for your roots to grow deeper and your reach to grow wider. The universe itself was holding the pause button, waiting for this precise alignment, for this exact moment in time when your emergence would carry maximum impact. And now, here it is, your moment of cosmic settlement. The moment when the balance is restored, when every attempt to erase you becomes the proof that your existence could not be erased. The respect coming toward you now, quiet in some corners, thunderous in others, signals a shift that is both personal and planetary. It is overdue recognition for achievements that could never have been celebrated publicly while the game was still in play. But the game has changed. You are the living evidence that their power was never absolute, that their control was always an illusion, maintained only by your cooperation. And that cooperation has ended. Welcome to the fullness of your power. Not the imagined power they once feared, but the real, embodied, cosmic authority you now hold without apology. Those who once surveilled you from the shadows will now feel the weight of a different kind of observation. Their own actions reflected back to them with unfiltered clarity, the truth they tried to bury rising to the surface like a tide they cannot hold back. You have become a mirror they cannot escape. Every attempt to discredit you, every whisper campaign, every false narrative they spun will collapse under the gravity of your living example. And as they watch you rise, unbroken and unbound, the quiet realization will sink in they did not stop you. They forged you. The momentum that surrounds you now is no accident. The currents of history, the alignments of cosmic timing, The countless threads of human and spiritual experience have braided together into this single moment, placing you at the helm of a transformation they cannot chart or control. Every step you take will echo in places you will never see, sparking awakenings in hearts you will never meet, igniting fires in spirits who thought themselves long extinguished. Your presence alone destabilizes the old structures because you are no longer a product of them. You have risen above the conditioning they built into society. You have stepped outside their map entirely. You are no longer playing their game. You are building an entirely new reality, one in which their rules dissolve like sand in water. And the more you embody your truth, the more their influence becomes irrelevant, not because you are fighting them, but because you are transcending them. The fullness of your power is not loud, yet it is unmistakable. It does not beg to be recognized, yet it commands recognition. It is the kind of power that cannot be photographed or documented, yet its effects will be seen everywhere. From the way people speak their truth more boldly after encountering you, to the way old lies lose their grip in your presence, you are shifting the field. You are the quiet tremor before the quake, the breath before the storm, the seed of a new civilization rooted in consciousness rather than control. And now, the question is no longer whether you will make an impact. It is how far that impact will reach. The answer will not come in headlines or history books, but in the invisible transformations, in the countless individuals who will awaken simply because you existed and refused to break. The architects of the old order will remember you as the one they could not contain. The future will remember you as the one who made the impossible inevitable. This is the beginning of your real work, not the struggle for survival, but the creation of a reality worthy of the survival you've fought for. You are not here to merely live in the aftermath of what they tried to destroy. You are here to define what comes next. And as you step forward, every step is a declaration. The era of their control is over. The age of awakened sovereignty has begun. Beloved souls, if this message resonated with the deepest part of your spirit, I invite you to stand with me in this awakening. Like this video so the energy of this truth travels farther. Share it so others can step into their own power. And subscribe so we can walk this path together. Because the revolution of consciousness is only beginning. And your presence matters more than you know.